next on AM 1480 WLEA, the Newsmaker Show. Here's Brian O'Neill.
And live in our studios this morning, longtime news director for AM 1480 WLEA, Jonathan Mark. Jonathan, thanks for coming in.
Well, Brian, thanks for asking me to. I'm really happy to be here. Yeah.
Glad to have you.
Matter of fact, I'm thinking, sitting in this room, there were many happy, carefree hours I spent in this room. Some pretty interesting things happened here. Yeah, it's kind of fun. I like it.
Good to have you back, Jonathan. I was watching the other night on Fox this show called Life, Liberty, and Levin with Mark Levin. It's his weekend show on the Fox News Channel.
Uh-huh.
They had a very interesting guest, Victor Davis Hanson, who apparently is a professor out in California.
At Fresno State. And just a little sidebar, when I lived in Fresno, which I did for 9 years, I lived right across the street from the Fresno State campus. So I could walk out my back door, cross the street, and there I was on their campus.
Did you do some newspaper reporting when you were in California?
No.
I know you did the Evening Tribune, but was I correct that you did somewhere else as well?
No. Well, yeah, I did very briefly when I was 18 years old.
I knew there was something along those lines.
That was a long time ago.
So Victor Davis Hanson had a lot of interesting things to say, and I thought it would be interesting to bring you in and get your thoughts on some of what he says. This is Victor Davis Hanson, and all the audio comes from the Fox News Channel, talking about how it can be a little bit tough in corporate America and elsewhere these days.
I don't think due process, free speech, the right redress of grievances exist in major areas of American life: corporate, university, foundational life, media.
Oh boy, I could not agree more. The corporate America, universities, colleges, there's a long list of things you cannot say. And if you say this, you're out or you're certainly chastised. Our speech has become more and more constrained and restrained by people who are just too darn sensitive. And whatever you say, they're going to object to. And I feel that if you control people's speech, what they can say and what they can't say, you are essentially controlling what they think, what they can think and can't think. And when you start controlling speech like that, you're in really dangerous territory. I'm thinking that George Orwell was kind of an optimist. I'm thinking, you never really thought of George Orwell as an optimist, but in the last 20 years, it's sort of getting that way.
That's an interesting statement about the Orwell. Jonathan, on the corporate America thing, it's not that hard to get blacklisted these days.
Oh, it's way too easy to get blacklisted, I'm sure.
And I think what happens is somebody says something on one job and it alienates it, it says the wrong thing. I'm talking political correctness here.
Right. Oh, right. Oh,
say
yes.
the wrong thing and it gets around, and then when you apply for a job, they're not supposed to do this, but off the record they'll say, well, he said such and such and such and such, and he or she have a hard time getting a job after that.
And social media has magnified that big time.
Oh, sure.
I mean, everybody's on social media now, except me. I'm not on social media. I'm very old-fashioned. But with the advent of that, what you say, what you do is immediately all over the place.
Forever.
And you can't take it back, and you can't erase it, and that's it. Yeah. It must be tough in corporate. I'm very glad I'm retired. Okay. I'm really glad I'm retired. But you can't say anything anymore. I was thinking about that this morning. Is it the University of California? University of Southern California. I don't remember which one. But you're not allowed to say, get this, you're not allowed to say that America is the land of opportunity.
Wow.
You cannot say that. It's forbidden.
Yeah,
why
a lot
exactly
of that these days?
Yeah, apparently to say that America is the land of opportunity is insensitive and inaccurate and racist and this and that. And you can't say it's a land. So where, pray tell, would the land of opportunity be? In Uzbekistan? Or Somalia or something? I mean, where would the land of opportunity be? And if there's no opportunity anywhere, what's the point?
Talking to Jonathan Mark this morning here on the Newsmakers Show. I'm going to play another clip of Victor Davis Hanson talking to Mark Levin. Actually, this clip is Mark Levin. Let me correct myself. This is Mark Levin talking about how progressives want to change the American structure of government.
And isn't that what the framers of the Constitution tried to prevent? They were worried about mobocracy. They were worried about autocracy. And so they create this republic. And there's a constant attack at the foundational principles of the republic. President wins the Electoral College. They want to get rid of the Electoral College. The progressives don't like the fact that the Senate is representative of the states, so they get rid of that, and you have direct election of the senators. They want to get rid of other aspects, separation of powers. They keep building up this fourth branch, this administrative branch of government with 2 million people and growing. That's what they do. It isn't that an attack on our foundational principles, liberty?
Yeah. I think that the people who drew up the plans for our form of government put a lot of thought into it. I don't know what inspired them, but they were very, very inspired. And they put a lot of work into it. And it's worked for 240, 235, 240 years or something, and all of a sudden it's no good. I mean, how did that happen? How did that happen where this system, which has worked for years and years and years, is suddenly no good? I don't understand. Well, I know what the reason is they want to centralize power in the federal government. Now, federal government is very nice and all that, and, more power to them. But that it's just, I think the system as drawn up is absolutely perfectly fine. And in fact, I think it is the best system ever devised by human beings. Find another country anywhere in history that has been more equitable for more people for a longer period of time. Nowhere in the history of humanity has it been a better country than America. And when you think that it was a construct, these guys sat down, and women, they sat down and they drew this thing up. We'll do this, and then we'll do that, and we'll organize it like this, and we'll organize it like this or that. And it worked. I mean, it worked. And it's made by human beings. That's astonishing. It isn't for one ruler, a king or an emperor or whatever, to rule over everybody. People can govern themselves. And that's the way the thing was drawn up, and it's worked all this time. So what the problem is, I have no idea.
Yeah, apparently Levin and his guest there, Mark Davis Hanson, are under the distinct impression that there's progressive forces out there that want to change the whole structure of government. They talked about also in that recent discussion on the Fox News channel, Victor Davis Hanson talked about how some of the progressives in some of the bigger states want to take away power from the smaller states.
Abolishing the Electoral College and enlarging the Supreme Court now, packing it, enlarging the House of Representatives, maybe 1,000 members. Why people in California say, why does Wyoming get 250,000 people get one senator and we 20 million get one? That's not fair. Let's turn the Senate into the House. But
that's a very interesting point.
So in other words, the United States would be ruled by California, New York, and Florida. That's what that amounts to.
Yeah.
It would be ruled by 3 states. Let me see. I think there are 50 states. I think we're leaving out, 47 states? Because there are more people in New York and California and Florida than anywhere else. So we would be ruled by 3 states.
Yeah.
That's not the way it works. I think that's very dangerous. That's really dangerous. Have 2 senators from each state, and then a number of congressmen from based on your population, and that's fine. I think it's a great system. As I said, find a better one anywhere.
Yeah, the way they are analyzing what the apparent plans are from the far left, that it kind of puts the whole U.S. Constitution in a much better light than the Constitution has been given recently by a lot of people in a lot of places. Talking the mainstream media, and
right.
a lot of speakers, and maybe some even at the university level.
Probably, yes. Well, the Constitution, it's really not important. We can change this and we can change that. And it's really no big deal. It's really no big deal. You don't like it, you just change it. Here you go. Fine.
Victor Davis Hanson here explaining that when the founders talk about equality and what that means today, Victor Davis Hanson says equality means one thing to the right, meaning a better life for everybody, whereas the left wants an equality of sameness, and if everybody has to be poor to achieve that, that's okay.
And then they were expecting that everybody would be equal. And human nature being what it is, it's never going to be that way. So they said, or the conservative position is, we're not going to be equal, but the poorest person is going to have a pretty good life if he's in a free market economy and a constitutional system. But they say, no, we don't really care what absolute poverty or wealth is. We want everybody to be equal. They would rather have everybody making $20,000 a year than the poor making 50 and somebody making $1 billion. So that's relentless. That's a psychological...
That is a very, very important point that you mentioned.
Wow. Where do you start? I mean, where do you start with something like that? I think everyone is given the same opportunity. Success is not guaranteed, but at least you have the opportunity to try. And that's crazy. That really is. Rather than trying to bring people at the lower end of things up, let's bring the people at the upper end of things down, and everything becomes flatline. I mean, it just becomes flatline. That really doesn't make any sense.
Am I going too far to say that sounds kind of a little bit more like, I don't know, Venezuela?
Oh, sort of. We can be a superpower like Venezuela. There you go. There you go. That's great. No, I mean, what would be the initiative to try to accomplish anything? What would be the initiative to try to start a business or make something of yourself if through government regulation everyone was the same? Sameness is not necessarily a good thing. I mean, there has to be some kind of drive to better yourself. And let's say that your neighbor makes X amount of dollars and you make 2X amount of dollars, like twice as much or 3 times. Well, maybe you earned it. Maybe you worked 3 times as hard. Maybe you had 3 times more ambition. So what's the matter with that? What's the matter with ambition? What's the matter with trying to make something of yourself? But apparently some people at one end of the spectrum think that that's unfair. I don't know. I just don't understand some people. I really honestly don't. So why, as I said, if there's no initiative to make yourself better, why do anything?
One of the interesting points, and I don't have this in the audio, but one of the interesting points that Victor Davis Hanson made the other night was that the progressives who push this kind of thinking usually come from the Ivy League schools, A, and B, they make sure that these rules that they're trying to enforce on everyone else don't apply to them.
Oh, of course not. Of course not. Because money is evil. See, money is evil. Money is evil if conservatives have it. Money is not evil if liberals have it. So money is a really good thing if you're a liberal. And if you work in Hollywood, work. If you're in Hollywood, I don't know if it's work or not, but if you're in Hollywood and make $1 gazillion, that's perfectly okay. But if you're a conservative and you have money, that's bad. That doesn't make any sense. I mean, it's really inconsistent. You have to be consistent in your opinions. And that's just not.
Talking to Jonathan Mark this morning, getting his reaction to an interview that was conducted by Mark Levin on Fox with Victor Davis Hanson. Going to take a quick break. We'll check the forecast. We'll be back in a moment with Jonathan. Stay with us.
McCourt's Auto Collision on State Route 36 just south of Canastillo is a full-service collision shop offering not just collision work but also paint work. McCourt's has a 24-foot frame straightener with 3-dimensional measurement. McCourt's accepts all insurance companies and can work with you on any deductible you may have. At McCourt's, they work for your interest and your benefit, not the insurance companies. All work is fully warranted and they offer a free loaner car. McCourt's Auto Collision, State Route 36 in Canastillo, where customer satisfaction is always number one. Phone 607-698-9900.
Checking in now with the meteorologist, Rob Carroll. Rob, it's a little warmer out there today.
It is, Brian, but unfortunately the warm weather's not going to last much longer, but certainly a welcome change from what we experienced over the Thanksgiving Day weekend. We have an area of low pressure in the Ohio River Valley. Brian, that caused all types of travel headaches for travelers yesterday. Canceled 900 flights into and out of Chicago. They've already had a couple hundred cancellations this morning. People all over the country getting backed up by that. Storm's going to go into the Great Lakes, so initially we get some rain out of it, and then once it goes by, we start to see colder weather get pulled in behind the circulation, and that's going to result in a change over to some snow later tonight. And then colder temperatures with some light snow or snow showers look very likely Tuesday through Thursday of this week. For today, though, it's a day for the umbrella. It'll be rainy, breezy. We're going to be 40 to 45. Sun came up this morning at 7:15. It'll set tonight at 4:40. We'll look for showers tomorrow morning to mix with and change over to some wet snow. Now, that's going to happen during the overnight. We're going to be breezy 30 to 35. We'll see some snow showers and periods of light snow throughout the day tomorrow. Breezy 30 to 35. A few spots may pick up anywhere from half an inch to an inch. Snow showers are possible tomorrow night, too. It'll be breezy 25 to 30. Clouds, a few flurries and snow showers Wednesday 30 to 35. And there's a chance of flurries right into the day on Thursday, Brian.
Thank you, Rob. Right now it's 40 degrees, and in that discussion, the little talk we had with Rob Carroll about the weather, he talked about the crazy airport situations over the weekend. Which reminds me, Jonathan, did you ever see Planes, Trains, and Automobiles?
Yes.
Steve Martin, John Candy.
Yes. Great movie. Absolutely great.
I
Yes.
didn't know this until recently. That a lot of that was filmed in Batavia.
Oh, really?
I read that on, I think, Spectrum News out of Rochester.
Huh. No, I didn't know that. No.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Batavia, huh? Okay. Well, if you're looking for a snowy place, Batavia's pretty good. That's right up there.
That would be it. Hilarious movie.
Jingle
We
bells,
lost John
jingle
Candy
bells.
Too early there. He was so funny.
Oh, yeah. Very funny.
Very funny guy. Talking with Jonathan Mark this morning about some things Victor Davis Hanson said recently in an interview. This next clip, Jonathan, is how progressives want to go back to the French Revolution and a French Revolution style of government.
We were saved from it because the Anglo-Scottish tradition was more limited government, very deep skepticism of the cycles of the French Revolution, and the European continent.
And he's talking here about the founders and their influence and their skepticism of the French Revolution.
But we were saved from it because the Anglo-Scottish tradition was more limited government, very deep skepticism of the cycles of the French Revolution, and the European continental model is a model that progressives choose. And they have a view that human nature is by nature, a Rousseauian view that we're born into chains, that the church, the community, the family, and it's the duty of government to take off those chains and let everybody be liberated, and then they'll naturally be happy, which is sort of our collective nightmare. But we're headed to a radical egalitarian society in aspects that transcend politics, almost every imaginable facet. And I just meant sports, culture, entertainment, movies. That's the message.
French Revolution, yeah, a pretty violent time where people would harass people and, all that stuff. Got pretty bloody and pretty violent, as a matter of fact. And you can kind of see the shadows of pitchforks and pikes here, there, and the other place in our country. Okay?
I was thinking, as far as the French Revolution kind of stuff goes, Antifa for one, the idea of going out into restaurants and harassing politicians and commentators that you don't like, showing up in Tucker Carlson's house when he's not home and bullying his wife around.
That was, you got to give the guy credit. You got to give him credit. Because if that was me, I would have found those guys and I would have done something.
Well, you know,
I'll tell you right now.
The interesting thing, Bill O'Reilly was recently on the Sean Hannity show, and he said to Sean Hannity, Bill O'Reilly said, "Sean, I'm going to say something we don't usually say on the radio," and we got about 90 seconds left.
Oh.
He said, we on the conservative side of things are getting more bodyguards these days, and they listed all the different incidents.
That's really unacceptable. I mean, that's what in the world has happened to us? What has happened to us? At least one side. I don't remember any conservative group going to a liberal's house and banging on their front door and harassing their wife or harassing them in restaurants or supermarkets or banks.
No, that's not something you see down in D.C., Virginia area.
No, conservatives don't do that. It's only liberals that do that. And why they think that's acceptable? I mean, it is a mobocracy, talking about the French Revolution. It's a mobocracy. Or it's getting really close. It's getting dangerously close. Luckily, I do believe that there are more good people than there are bad people. There are more people with good sense than people with bad sense. So I am an optimist. I really am an optimist. It's just, some things are just inexplicable. You just don't understand what drives some people.
Well, Jonathan, thank you so much for coming in this morning.
Boy, that was a fast 25 minutes.
We'll have to do it again.
It was entirely too fast.
Jonathan.
Well, you're entirely welcome. I really enjoyed it. No.